Okay, Jim Tavija with you, and I'm going to go through what I do with my LP collection and how I try to keep it clean. I wanted to wait and do this video until I actually got a used LP in the mail, and I can show you what I do. But first I want to show you that when you get ready to clean some LPs, you're going to need a system. Now I use the very affordable SpinClean, which you can buy for still 79 bucks, I believe. But one of the things you're going to have to do is you're going to have to make yourself some place to store them. Now generally what I do is I'll clean about 20 or 25 at a time, and so I built myself this little rack. And this is nothing more than a 1x12 piece of pine with a 1x3 piece of pine as a backing board. You can see it from the side. Here's the backing board. And then what I did was I didn't own a drill press, so I had a friend at church whose company had a drill press, and they said I could come down. So what I did was I drew a row of lines about 4 to 5 inches up, and then I left about a 2.5 inch space between them, and I marked them in about 3/4 inch increments all the way down the board. Now the reason I used a drill press is that I wanted the holes to be perfectly perpendicular to the baseboard. Then I bought these dowel rods. These are at Walmart. I think there was a pack of them for like $2. So I measured the diameter of the dowel rods to make sure that I used the right size drill bit. I drew my 2 lines down there evenly spaced, and then I marked each one about 3/4 inch apart, center to center, and that's where I drilled all my holes. And this is how I'm going to stack all of the LPs that I clean at a time. Now I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 25. I've got 25 spaces, so I could actually clean 25 LPs at a time and dry them. Now the second thing you want to do is you want to be able to tip up the front of this so the records will stay in place and they're going to hit the back lip, this backing board. So I bought some of these little door stops, and I set them under the front so that it's actually angled back slightly, so the LPs that I'm going to clean, when I place them inside my rack, they're going to stay in place, and I'm not going to have any issues with them rolling out while they're drying. So I'll clean 25 at a time, and they'll sit in here to finally dry after I've wiped them off, and I'm going to show you how I do it. Excuse me. So today I've been trying to find something by Scott Joplin, some piano rags, and this is done by, this is volume 2. I'm going to try to find volume 1 somewhere, but this is Joshua Rifkin on the piano. And I always wanted to own some of these, and I happened to listen to some music this week, and I thought I'm going to do my best. So I found this one. I think it was off of Amazon, and I ordered it. Now, like always, there was no insert sleeve, which is kind of sad, because what that tells me is the person that owned this didn't really take good care of it. But it's okay. And so I just looked at this. It's actually in pretty good shape. I don't see any big mars, considering the fact that it didn't have a white paper sleeve. So I buy my own white paper sleeves to be able to store my LPs, and so I don't have to worry about it. And generally, whenever I get something used, I'm going to put a clean paper sleeve on it anyway. So you'll need to do this rack. What I'm thinking about doing is buying a drill press And any of you that are watching this, that if you're in the Atlanta area and you'd like to have one of these, I'll probably start making a few. And if you'd like me to make you one, I'll have to try to figure out a price, and probably what I'll do is I'll put it on the website. But I ought to be able to make one of these, including my labor, for about $25. And but this is almost essential. You've got to have a place to stack your LPs and let them dry adequately. So that being said, we have that. Now let's go to the SpinClean. The SpinClean comes basically with the machine and a bottle of fluid for 79 bucks. This is a great little tool for cleaning LPs. I really like it. What I also like about this is you can clean, it's got 3 settings. You can see them across the top. You can do 12-inch LPs, you can do 10-inch LPs, and you can actually move the rollers all the way in, and you can do 45s. So you can do everything that you own in this SpinClean, which is kind of nice. It comes with its own set of rollers that come out, and they slide in little bitty slots, if you can see them inside, and they just lock into place. What's nice about that is that you can actually clean them after you've done a cleaning session. And generally, depending on how dirty your LPs are, if you're going to clean 25 at a time, you may end up having to rinse this out and clean it one time. If they're real dirty, to do 12 at a time. Generally, most of the LPs that I get are pretty clean, so I don't have to worry about that. So inside of here, toward the top, there's a fill line that'll tell you how much water to put in. Now, I generally use distilled water. This is the water that mothers use for their baby's milk, for bottle feeding them. It's $1 a gallon. And so I usually buy a couple at a time. And I'll go ahead and fill this up. And we'll see how much I'm going to get out of this one as it settles. And it's thinking about it. And I'm just a little bit short, so I'm going to fill it up to the top. And generally what I'll do is when I do this, I'll do this upstairs on the kitchen table because I want to be close by to a sink. So when I get ready to dump the water, I can. Okay, now I filled that up to the top. So again, distilled water from Walmart, a bucket jug. I just want to make sure that I use really clean water. I don't want to use tap water, even though you may live in a municipality that has clean water. For $1, I'm not going to take any chances. This water is perfectly clean for us to use to do that. Now the second thing I'm going to do, I'll shake this up a little bit. I'm going to use 1 capful of cleaning fluid, and I'm going to put half on that side and half on that side, and then I'll kind of jiggle it around a little bit, make sure it gets where it needs to be. So here we've got our LP, and this one I believe is a 10. We're going to find out very shortly here. And I'm going to push this down inside. Nope, it's a 12. The guy told me it was a 10, but it's actually a 12. And because of those rollers, what it's going to do, it's not going to let the record drop to where the water is going to get on the label, which is really a good thing. You want to try and keep the label as dry as you can. And so then all I'm going to do is rock this back and forth, rotate it, and I'm going to clean it. And sometimes if you'll find something like at a garage sale or a used record store where the record might be fairly dirty, you may have to do this a little bit more than I am. This LP, when I happened to see it, looked pretty decent considering it had no jacket. And if I happen to see an area that was a little bit dirtier than some other place, I'll remember where it is in relation to the label, and then I'll work it. And you can do this as much as you think you need to. There's no set method to really doing this. But I think for $79, the SpinClean is a really, really nice deal. And I'm thinking about buying a $299 vacuum machine, but I would always use my SpinClean first. I would try to get all of the much greater dirt and grime off with the SpinClean, and that way I won't have to clean my vacuum cleaning machine out as much. But I will tell you, I've been very, very pleased, and you may feel that this is all you'll ever need to clean your LPs, because once you've cleaned them once, you know you're going to take care of them. So then I'm going to take this out, kind of let it drip a little bit, and then I'm going to wipe it down. Basically what I'm using here is a baby diaper. This is going to get the first amount of water off of it. Then I have some other cloths that I'll use to put the records on, and I'll flip them, and then I'll use the same baby diaper because now I can press a little bit harder. Try and go around circular across the top of the disc. And then once I've done that, I'm just going to put it inside my rack. Oops. Try to keep them straight. And then I'm just going to let them dry, and I may walk away maybe for an hour and come back when they're dry. Then the next thing I'll do is, before I actually put them in a jacket, is I'm going to put them on my turntable, and I'm going to take my static brush that's got real fine fibers on it, and what I'm going to do then is let the record spin, and I'm going to clean it with this one last time before I put it inside the jacket. And that's pretty much all you have to do. But you can see that once you've set up, again, the paper sleeve, when I'm finally done, I always use brand new paper sleeves. I know some of you may like the rice paper. I will tell you that I had a bad experience this week. I had an LP, it was a direct-to-disc LP from Umbrella that I really, really liked. I have two of them. And on one side of the inner sleeve, it had a piece of vinyl, some kind of vinyl sleeving just on one side. Well, those records were from 1977. And when I happened to pull the one record out, I noticed that some of that vinyl had deteriorated and it stuck to the LP side. And so I'm going to try and clean that off this week if I can. My feeling was I tried to get it off pretty well, and I even used some lukewarm tap water upstairs to see if I could warm it up a little bit to get it to release, and I couldn't do it. So that was kind of sad, because those are some great, great sounding LPs from the Toronto Chamber Orchestra. And direct discs are pretty hard to find, and I paid a pretty good bit of money for that one. I think probably $20 at the time. And so a lot of the direct-to-disc albums today can get to be pretty pricey. So, well, I hope you've enjoyed what you've seen here. It's a relatively easy process. And again, once you clean your own LPs, you're going to take care of them. And so you probably won't have to clean them again. But if you like to go to used record shops, and I do as well, that's kind of hard to do during the pandemic. And I took a chance on this Scott Joplin LP just because I wasn't able to go anywhere. And at 73, I'm 73, my wife is 70, we try to be very careful about where we go. It's a grocery store and home, so we don't like being locked down any more than you do, but it's kind of the way it is these days. So again, distilled water from Walmart, $1 a gallon. You're going to need some kind of a drying rack. Take a look at the SpinClean. I really like this little machine for a very first clean. And then if I do decide to go ahead and get a vacuum machine, I'm not going to spend crazy money. I don't mind doing one side at a time. I do know that they're noisy because they basically are a vacuum cleaner and going to try to suck the water and the grime out of the grooves. So, but I hope you've enjoyed this. And that's the top. And when you get done, you go upstairs. I clean out my brushes. I take the rollers out and just leave them sit. Dry them off. I'll take my brushes out. And I'll clean those when I get upstairs. And then the first thing I'll do is I'll dump the water in the sink. And I'll make sure that I rinse this out real well. And then clean my rollers really well too. So, hope you've enjoyed that. If you want some other tips, you could even try some microfiber towels. Generally what you want to try to do is find things that are lint free. And the baby diapers that I've had, they've worked well. This material is actually sackcloth. It's also lint free. I think I bought some of this at Walmart as well, but I'm not sure exactly where I bought some of this, but this has worked very well. And I have a good supply of cloths. So, and if you're going to clean 25 at a time, you're going to have maybe a half a dozen baby diapers and maybe 3 or 4 of these to make sure that you get most of the water off the LPs before you dry them. So again, if you have any comments, you can leave them below the video and I'll try to answer them for you. But thanks for watching.